Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Acupuncture is My Life. Now, in this episode, I want to sort of stay on the same track, but just make a slight adjustment to the left from yesterday's podcast, where I discussed several things that your fart can tell you about your health. In this episode, I want to talk about a few things that your poop can actually tell you about your health. And it's interesting because, sometimes patients will come into the office, and when it gets really serious about their bowel movements, I'll show them certain charts and how their poop should look, their bowel movement should look, as opposed to if it looks like X, Y, or Z. And, but that's not available to all patients. All patients, we don't get into that discussion in their, during their intake. I get to know what needs to be known, but I don't want to expand too much on intake. But there are several things that your bowel movement, and I know many individuals don't like to talk about this to me, even to their health practitioners. They're a bit reluctant, but they know it's for their best interest. So they will bring it up. But they're very short. They're very, they tend to be non-descriptive most of the time, so you have to draw it out of them. Because your bowel movements can provide valuable insight to your well-being. And sometimes I'll discuss how a person's bowel movement should appear and really get into it. And they find that enlightening. I mean, they really thereafter begin to study their bowel movements. Like, for instance, let's say an ideal healthy poop should have like a sausage-like S shape to it once it's like in the toilet. And you should be able to pass this poop in a painless manner where there's like no strain and you're not spending too much time on the toilet. Now, if you're doing the opposite of what I just stated, you need to see an acupuncturist right away. Okay, you really, really, really do. But that's more general, the ideal healthy poop. I mean, for now, it's the best way I could describe it. But the weight of your poop, the weight of your bowel movement is also important. And many individuals are unaware of that. Because certain bowel movements, certain poop can contain, like, let's say, a lot of gas, or it can be low in fiber, or it can even lack enough density to sink. Now, I'm not saying all of this to scare you. So if you start to see floaters in your toilet bowl, I don't want you thinking that's a sign of a disease or something. And this is why a lot of times I'm constantly saying seeing acupuncturists for regular wellness visits, your primary care physician on an annual basis for a health checkup. Because you could sit with your acupuncturist and discuss all of this. But I do want to say, like, if you see like little fat droplets, I wouldn't say little, but if you see fat droplets in the toilet bowl, and they tend, when you flush the toilet, they tend to either come back up or really don't show willingness, or there's some resistance for it to go down. This can be a sign of, let's say, a malabsorption disorder, like, let's say, celiac disease. And it's part why I say you need to see an acupuncturist if you're noticing anything weird about your poop. Another is Test the smell. Even healthy poop has a bad odor to it. And it usually comes from short chain fatty acids, which is usually a normal byproduct created when the bacteria in your bowel, by the bacteria in your bowel, usually as it ferments the foods. And then, what else comes into play? It can be like the different types of spices or marinades that are in your food, as well as the diversity of your gut bacteria. And that diversity, again, is very important because it's about balance. Here we go, yin and yang again, in the middle child. But your bowel movement will smell even worse than usual if your gut bacteria is off. But now, if you notice that you're excreting digested blood or infectious diarrhea, you want to see your primary care physician as well as an acupuncturist as soon as you can. Because this is something you must take serious, because health is wealth. And I say this a gazillion times, health is wealth. The wealth is not under the doghouse in the backyard or in the shoebox in the closet. The wealth is not under your mattress either. It's not in the bank. It's not in the safe in your office. The wealth isn't in your pocket. It's not in your wallet or your purse. And guess where else the wealth is not? It's not in a cryptocurrency account. And it's not in an app on your phone. The wealth is in you. Okay? But guess what? The color of your stool is very important as well. And many of you don't like looking at your stool when you're done, but that's important. It's yours. You put it out there. Take a look at it. Some of you are listening to this podcast going, oh my God, that's disgusting. You put it out there. Take a look at it. You are what you eat. And if you're afraid to look at it, you should feel the same way about looking at what you're putting in your mouth then. All right? But the color of your bowel movement is very important as well. Okay? It's very important as well. You should be concerned about that. Because for me to say you are what you eat, right? There are certain things that affect the color of your bowel movement, like food dyes, which is bad. You shouldn't be eating foods that have dyes in. But food dyes, or even like just blueberries can affect the color of it. I know beets. I've had people run into my clinic after eating Red Devil cake at a party the night before. Doc, I'm dying. No, calm down. But even stout beer can darken the color of your stool, and green leafy vegetables or green juices can give your stool like a shamrock shade. But again, beets can make it look red. But now if you haven't had beets or Red Devil cake or what have you, something dark red stools can signify bleeding, which can be a symptom of cancer or inflammatory bowel disease. Now, black tarry stools is a sign that you may be bleeding somewhere higher up in your intestinal tract, or even in the stomach rather. And very pale poop can be a sign of an issue with your bile duct. And then there are some medications that can temporarily change the color of your stool as well. including Pepto-Bismol or iron supplements. And if you're taking either one of those, get yourself to an acupuncturist, please. But iron supplements and Pepto-Bismol can make your stool appear as black. Okay. So the color of your bowel movement is important as well. Another is how many times are you going to the bathroom? You know, are you going too little or too often? You know, there's a big range to be considered here. Because you have individuals who are used to going to the bathroom 3 times a day. And I agree that if you're eating 3 times a day, you should be moving your bowels 3 times a day. And I shock many of my patients when I say that. If you're eating 3 times a day, but you're going to the bathroom once a day or every other day, there's something wrong. And I usually tell them, it's a good thing you came in to see me. Okay? But then now dehydration can cause you to like go every other day or be dehydrated. Constipated, I'm sorry. You know, because you may have like a fever from being ill momentarily. But dehydration plays a part. You notice weight loss, unexpected. These are things you should tell your acupuncturist or an acupuncturist. It's important. You know, because the frequency of bowel movements, the color, the shape, the smell, these things are important. See, so when you're sitting with an acupuncturist, you want to discuss these things. Also, are your poops, are they floating? Are they sinking? Okay? And when you walk into an acupuncture clinic, be prepared to discuss your poop. Be prepared. Okay? Because there are many health practitioners you may not have done this with, but when you see an acupuncturist, be prepared to discuss that. Better yet, just simply make acupuncture a part of your life, because it'll change your life. Because acupuncture is my life. What's yours?